from the
press
booth.
is make you shut up. Elon doubles down in this tweet, offering a false dichotomy. Either we have to have more legal immigration, or you, the person disagreeing with it, you want America to fail for your own personal gain. What personal gain are you talking about?
Well, of course people are going to care more about their own personal status than the country as a whole in an abstract sense. Yeah, of course. I mean, that makes... Every single person is going to think like that. And they might not say it outright, but at the end of the day, that's what they're going to vote on, and that's what they're going to do. Not patriots? Well, I think that really the idea of being a patriot is a two-way street. A lot of people aren't going to be trying to maintain the existence of an entity that is actively working against them. And again, if you think it's not, that's fine, but this is the way these people feel, and so that's just it.
You want America to fail for your own personal gain. Elon, what are you talking about? How does anybody personally gain from this? The only gain happening is in stock prices of tech companies. That's the gain. Yeah. That's where the gain is. Cui bono. That's who stands to benefit from this arrangement. This tweet, it's not first principles thinking. It's not in good faith dialogue. This is a dishonest mischaracterization.
I don't think it's a dishonest mischaracterization. I think that it's just a misunderstanding of the way that people think. Because he's right, and you can make a very strong argument that stock prices do affect individuals, and you can use that to talk about 401ks or people's investments, and I think that you can make a strong argument that way. But the problem is that that argument, it's kind of like what I was saying before about like a lot of philosophy is... What investment? Well, like if you have a job, for example, like, and again, oh, I don't have a job, sure. But there are a lot of people with a job who do have 401ks, right? It's too speculative. It's too Rich take. No, see, you're not listening. You need to listen. Just listen. And before you come up with your opinion, listen to what I'm saying. There are a lot of things that are true factually, and true in a greater sense, but that truth does not matter to an individual. Because when the individual experiences something that's negative, the only thing they're going to think about is their own personal circumstances. So you can't take an abstraction argument, distill it down to an individual person, and then say you should care because of your 401k. People don't give a fuck about their 401k if they can't afford $400 in groceries. How true is it that America lacks STEM talents? I think that it's both true and not true.
A liar. People say things in the heat of the moment that are dishonest, though. This is a dishonest mischaracterization of the tens of thousands of people who are blowing up your website. This is not an own on Elon. This is not dunking on Elon. I know that you can bring the ban hammer down, and I know that you are going to be tempted to do so, that you already have with the Groypers, which, by the way, you have to undo that, man. You blanket banned people, not for saying or not for posting swastikas, but for stating their opinion on this H-1B issue.
Yeah, you can't ban people. Like, if the policy is that don't break the law and don't dox people, that's basically what the rules are. And then you ban people for things that aren't doxing and aren't breaking the law, then you're not following the rules. And if you're not following the rules, then nobody can predict what's going to happen. Free speech absolutist? Well, I think that it was a mistake for him to have said that. Nobody is a free speech absolutist. Almost nobody, at least. Almost everyone immediately has examples and forms of speech or, what's the word for it? Like, expression that they think should be against the law. I am? Well, no, you're not. I mean, like, for example, like child sexual abuse material. Do you want that? That's free expression, right? That's a person expressing themselves. Do you want them expressing themselves that way? I don't.
I am an even greater warrior now than when
we
first met.
Let's just stop. Yeah, fraud. Yeah, exactly. That's against the law.
Round one, fight.
Complete violation of the trust that the people you wanted to like you, placed in you, and you said that you're for free speech. It's straight George W. Bush. You're either with us or you're with the terrorists.
There it is.
That's what this is. You're either agreeing with me or you're fucking an enemy. Yeah. You're an enemy. It's not an argument. It's not a well-reasoned.
Yeah, people should not be getting banned for disagreeing with it, even if they disagree in a stupid way. Why do you got so many retards in your chat now? I think actually the majority of people in the chat are smart. There's a handful of clowns. Of course there's a handful of clowns. But in a general sense, we got a lot of smart people in chat.
Fight.
People that are thoughtful, intelligent, and add a lot to the stream. But you're always going to have some goof boys that are going to be sprinkled in there. There's 34,000 people watching the stream. Big surprise, there's some of them that are idiots.
It's just my way or the highway.
Yeah.
Is that what free speech is? Is that who you are?
That's what free speech was. It's like you either have this opinion or you get banned.
You feel like Ellen DeGeneres. You feel like The Rock. You can get Ozempic, you can get breast implants, start going on The View. Whatever you want for popularity, you can do that, of course. But to the extent that you have popularity,
Sounds exciting.
keep digging this hole, it will be misplaced, and it'll be rich. What are we doing actually? Healthy functioning societies, they need more than gadgets. They need more than Marvel, more than Joy Slot. They need a shared ideology, heritage, history, beliefs and values, religion, or they collapse and crumble. That's Babel, that's Rome, every empire that's been crushed because there wasn't social cohesion. Basic good libertarian principles aren't enough. Maybe they're enough to get a DC funding, maybe they're enough to do an interesting exercise of some sort, but they're not enough to hold people together. And again, with that,
I think he's right about that. And I think religion even is an extension of that. Yeah, I do. I think it's an extension of that. Very hypocritical of Reddit to allow politics on their website, but not on your subreddit. Okay. But yeah, definitely.
Of people as a collection of economic units. That's what
Is it a Nazi dog? It's a Nazi dog whistle to say that there's a shared culture cohesion is good. I mean, I feel like I don't think that's a Nazi dog whistle. I don't. Yeah. I mean, it's just not. I mean, that's not it.
Foundation of Marxism, that reality is just math, and thus the justification for a lot of Marxism is also...
I think that this is a huge issue, like outside of like Marxism or anything, like a huge issue is that a lot of people that have, I would say, above average intelligence can't understand the way that an average person or a below average intelligence person thinks. And so they can't reason out and understand what this person values. So they keep trying to appeal to them in ways that are not immediate, not direct, and not first order principles. These are not things that you immediately are being affected by. And I think for a lot of people, religion, community, and these kinds of things do really matter a lot. And you can say that they shouldn't matter, but even if you're right, according to them, you're still wrong. And that's the issue, is that the strongest argument isn't an argument. And a lot of people are persuaded by things that transcend logic. And this has been something that I have unfortunately learned a lot in my life. Is that, like, I've always assumed that, well, if you just explain the truth to people, then they'll just listen to you.
Round 2. Fight.
I've made a lot of mistakes in my life over that. I've really, well, you just tell people the truth. Just be honest. Just explain it. No, that's not how it works. Not that you don't understand it. Well, or that the truth doesn't matter to them. That's another really big component, is that a lot of people are selfish. And you think about it, right? Logically, people have evolved, and the ones that weren't selfish probably got filtered out a few million years ago. So there's a whole the book that invented memes, the word memes, is called The Self-Esteem. It's like a whole type of study inside of psychology. It's a huge
what leads Silicon Valley libertarian type people to attempt to quantify the unquantifiable. Mount Rushmore, the space program, the interstate system, motion pictures, electricity. These are all things that are not quantifiable. They're quantifiable in the sense that you can look back and you can say that they cost X amount of dollars, or that a certain amount of
a good example of this. I don't know if anybody watched any of the, like the old movies. It's the Kingdom of Heaven. At the end of it, it's like, what's Jerusalem worth? And then Saladin is like nothing, and then he goes everything. That's exactly what Sam is talking about. That's exactly what he means. Yep.
And steel was used in their construction.
Such a great line.
But these dream projects are unquantifiable.
Amazing movie.
No slider.
Old movie
from
2005.
You can crank up the number of Indians to 200 million and bring the American dream to fruition faster. Okay? There's no data entry point where you can bump up the Indians and get Chrysler buildings popping up everywhere. More Art Deco construction. We do not need more bloated code bases, more tech gadgets, more poorly run hotels, more work ethic, okay? What we need is leaders willing to fight for the American people, not for corporations, not for the idea of America, but for the American people. That is the only thing.
That's why they sabotage Bernie.
That we need on the brink of collapse, on the eve of our crumbling, needs to be something higher, a higher ideal.
Who is this guy? He's a comedian. He makes videos a lot. And Sam Mike. It's Boris Craven. It's the ghost of Kiev.
Market caps. If it's just that, it's just not reality. Reality is hundreds of thousands of kids who are graduating with massive college debt, hundreds of job applications. They're being looked over for people who are not us. That's not a meritocracy. That's not some idealistic, high-minded thing. It's just Apple and Google might win, but America will be worse. The soil that all this winning flourishes out of is salt. And that means that the next Apple,
This is so wrong. I think that a lot, and this is what I was saying before, a lot of the people that focus on analytics and they focus on, statistically, I think that a lot of people are really missing the big point that he's talking about. Is that those things are not relevant to people when they can't pay their bills. These are not important. And I think this is probably one of the biggest issues that the internet has, is that it's very hard for people to discuss values because nobody is willing to be empathetic and accept that other people's values that are different than their own have merit in their own right. And I think that this is the problem, is that you have a lot of people, again, who are, I would say above average intelligence in a lot of cases, that just simply can't understand why these abstract concepts are not compelling to an average person. But they're not. And I think that gets proven every 4 years or every 2 years. But people never figure it out. And also, most people are average. That's why they're called average.
Will be Chinese. Potentially the next SpaceX will be Chinese. Wouldn't that be strange? Wouldn't that be interesting if China makes it to Mars first?
Oh.
It would be great for humanity. Why don't we do it? Let's do it. China makes it to Mars before America. Does that sound like fun? It's just humans. They're just interchangeable economic units. Why wouldn't we want that? I think we do it. It sounds good to me. How do we define winning?
I think a really good example of this is actually a point that Neil deGrasse Tyson brought up. is that one of the big reasons for people to go to the moon and to focus on space exploration is to inspire the next generation of people that want to go to Mars and explore more of space. And I do think that it creates that outcome.
Kung Lao. Johnny
I just
Cage.
won.
an asshole?
Lee May.
Okay, well, he was right about that.
That was Asmongold that I spit on. I killed him. I'm not dissing Asmongold. I'm just playing around. I spit on.
What, I have water on me? It's gonna
How
kill
do
me?
you know
Is
so
this
much
it? This
about
is another shower
policing?
joke?
My mom was a cop.
Is that it?
Moist Critical.
You
I'll
did
spit on
not
his face.
fuck with
Is that it?
Fucking guy. No, we love Moist. We have a deal with Moist right now. It's for nicotine pouches. These are Moist's nicotine pouches. I call them Moist. You know Moist
Roach
is a
joke,
Yiddish
yeah.
word? I didn't know Moist Critical is actually Jewish. Did you know that? Crazy fact?
Round
Winning.
Fight.
Is winning.
You're saying that I'm Jewish because Asmon told me. Really funny.
Tech companies have even higher valuations. That's why we're not winning, because Netflix stock isn't high enough. That's the only way to win.
You have to add
I
more
want to kill
commercials.
my neighbors, burn them alive, and blow up my car. But it's okay, because Netflix is worth $3 trillion.
That's a lot.
I want to cut my cock off and scramble my brain with fucking fluoride. I'm gonna win because Netflix is worth $3 trillion.
Yeah.
I can't believe the dollars are this high. I can't believe we're winning this much. The dollars are this high.
I think a good personal example of this is the amount of people that we're trying to assure average like citizens that, you know, oh, well, the economy has made a big recovery. And then somebody goes to the grocery store and they see, you know, I don't know, like a box of cookies is like $6. And they're like, no, it hasn't. You're lying.
We have
Bacon
such
is
good
$30,
drones and
yeah.
spying technology. We're winning. That's the most retarded thing I've ever heard. At least leftoid medicine vaccine brain niggas. Bleep that out, please. I said people. At least people whose blood has been replaced with vaccines and are so far on the left they salute Mickey Mouse. They fiends and are so far on the left they salute Mickey Mouse.
Stupid. Oh God. Wow.
They think that they're helping people.
Yeah.
If winning is just drones doing an aerial display while a robot jerks me off to sample my DNA,
Come on, I'll get you the time quake
then
all access
everything is
pass.
lost.
I doubt
Yeah,
Lord
the
Liu
homeless
Kang
person
wants
today,
me at
Chris, did you know
CageCon.
that? It was free speech. I said, you fucking dirty ass bum ruining my street. I'll you. And then I used a speech gun to shoot a speech bullet through your speech head. I used an NFL cheerleader speech. The guys too. I used free speech on them. Did they have male cheerleaders together? I don't think so. That's what. Look it up, please. Does the NFL have male cheerleaders? That is awesome. That's true. A third league. America is the greatest country on earth.
Wow.
Here's your male cheerleaders.
Is that a real thing?
Everybody on fentanyl, everybody working
And
at
why?
I feel like you do have, I mean, like mascots are male cheerleaders in a way. Like if you think about it, they kind of are.
Angelo's, everybody working at the mall, they're all retards. Everybody who's had their lives destroyed by big pharma, by the grist mill of inflation, taxation. Everybody that's been betrayed by their leadership in this country, are they all retards? Is everybody who shot? Yeah.
I think a lot of them actually. What if there's so many of them that they're the majority?
Final round.
Then if you're looking to win an election, You need to appeal to retards. That's the truth. That's it. Yeah, question resolved. Yeah, no, I think the truth is, yeah, I think a lot of people are really dumb. I do. And I feel like in so many cases, this proves itself to be fact. Like maybe just ignorance of the truth. I think that a lot of people are actually just straight up. Like I really think that. Like, and it's half. Half the people are done. Yeah, half the people are done with an average. Doing the math, that checks out.
There's a lot of people $400 in their bank account and getting hit with overdraft fees and has the landlord from hell.
It's not just the overdraft fees; it's the low balance fees as well. That you have to pay money each month to have the money in the bank. You have to pay to give the bank your money because you don't have enough money for the bank to make money off of your money.
Hans, you work in a sub-sandwich shop.
Not really, yeah.
If you really believe that these people are all retards, then you have no place in the discourse going on about the future of this country. You are just a computer guy. And I don't think you really believe that. I hope to God that you don't. But if that's really what you believe, then you're not a leader. I could say fuck you. I could say take a step back and fuck your own.
Well, no, I think it is true. It's just that you can't. Like, basically, my viewpoint is that just because people are stupid doesn't mean they're not entitled to human decency. So, like, it's the same as, like, I don't really feel bad for people that get scammed, but I don't want people to get scammed.
And I am glad to accept that
compliment. Like, I don't feel empathy or sympathy for them, but I feel like a responsibility to help them. Does that make sense?
Round one, fight.
I'll say this. If you really believe that the American people are retards, which they are, we all know that. But if you really do not have in your heart grace and respect for the Homer Simpson, Donna Simon, Tommy shit, keep in mind, Homer Simpson was a manager of a nuclear
He's not that
retards. Make your dream possible. If you have a heart, you are a human being, and that will still hard.
And you got to keep in mind also, the Simpsons caricatured Homer Simpson after like maybe 10 seasons, or like 8 seasons. But early Simpsons, Homer wasn't like the brightest, tool in the box, but he was an intelligent, hardworking, good guy.
Possible. You gotta have a heart. You are that will still hard to tell you to go fuck yourself. You can do the go fuck yourself all day. I tell myself to go fuck myself. You say that all day. Fuck you. Fuck you. I say that in the mirror when I wake up. And when I make up, when I put makeup on. Who gives a fuck? If you believe these people are retards and you don't have any goodwill towards them, then you're not a leader. You're just a nerd.
I am the
There's plenty of those.
storm.
There's plenty of nerds who got lucky. I bought Bitcoin, Magic the Gathering online exchange.
Oh!
I got lucky. There's no shortage of nerds who got lucky. There's this disturbing idea from the BoomerCon right that America is just a collection of ideas, and you bring everybody in the world, the teeming masses who are desperate for a half-gallon of milk, you bring them here and all of a sudden they're hit like lightning with this idea that makes them able to make this country stronger. This country's never been weaker, and it's never been more open to foreigners who aren't us. These two things...
I don't know. I think it used to be way more open, right? Because like you just have people coming over on boats and shit. But like I don't really know how true that actually was, so it's hard really for me to say, like, gangs in New York, etc. And so like, yeah, I'm not sure about that. Is somebody here? Yeah.
Round one, fight.
They're not unrelated. They're directly related. Would Ben Shapiro say the same thing about Israel? Is Israel just a collection of ideas? Would Vivek say the same thing about India? India is just a collection of ideas. Really good ideas. The rope and rolling on the train. That's not a glib remark, by the way. I make a lot of jokes about Indians in my stand-up act. I had an Indian woman come up to me after a show. I thought she was going to chew me out and beat my ass, ear-beating Indian style for the jokes that I made. She said to me, "Thank you for saying that. I once there with my 13-year-old sister, and they pulled her pants down to the train."
Jesus Christ.
Is that an Indian idea? When we bring them over, does that idea suddenly vanish and they get the neural net download of American ideas? Is that how it works? The people who are mad at me right now don't believe America as a collection of ideas. It's not economics. I hate how this argument in America is asking them what they built. If you're so great, what did you build? What did you build? Nothing. They didn't build. Built individualistic scale. The big things that humans have built. Cathedrals, computers are pretty up there, but cathedrals, cathedrals are built over hundreds of years. They're built not just by the army of stone masons.
They're also built by the aliens who fly the pyramids off. Yep. I'll be right back. Give me a second.
By the towns who pay for it. They are cream sitting on top of the cake is the soil, the cake is the vinyl side of the system. All your customers are people who pay for this shit by putting their retirement accounts in Vanguard mutual funds. They're the people who you owe a debt to be able to do the stuff that you do. These H-1B tech workers that are...
Yeah, nobody does something like this on their own. That's always true. Yeah, and like you have to usually the government even helps people, etc.
So many of them are
This has 6.5 million views on X already? God damn.
Built. They're maintaining code bases for stuff that was built years ago.
Yeah.
What are they making? Social media apps that collect all your data? They're making to-do apps, dating apps? Who fucking cares, man?
Well, dating apps.
What did they build? Mobile phone games? It's just stuff that feeds more into consumers. And it's not actually making
girls.
Life better for anybody. The sense that Americans aren't good enough. That's one of the darker things that has happened here. I know Vivek Ramaswamy does believe it to be the case, and for him, this Twitter bomb was a mask-off moment in a way that I hope it wasn't for you. But that sentiment and the Twitter deboosting, algorithm change, blanket ban, all that stuff, those are the darker things in the sense of not good for not good for the future. Running Twitter the same way your enemies did before you bought it.
I think that if you want to talk about banning people, it's very hard to say whether people got banned or not. I don't know. But because the reason why is that some people were putting forward information that somebody got banned, but then it had the indicator that they had closed the account themselves. Because there's two notifications. There's this account has been removed and this account no longer exists. But you could easily say that they just gave it the other notification, so it seems like they didn't. So I don't think that's really convincing to anybody, right? That already believes the other way, but took their blue checks away. Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think that you should lose your verification status, because if verification status, and this is a big problem that Twitter had, is that basically Twitter had this big issue with advertising, which I guess they don't have to worry about that anymore, but at least not for a while. So they had this issue that because people that were verified ended up being kind of it was almost like Twitter gave them a seal of approval, where they're like, yeah, we know who you are. And it became kind of this is a person who represents Twitter's values. It became a really big problem when people got verified when they said bad stuff. And I thought that Elon made a very good decision by taking verification and just making it a subscription rather than this weird form of this nobility of social media. How fucking cringe. How extremely fucking cringe. Yeah, no, just let people pay for it and that's it. Like an endorsement. Yeah, exactly.
Is that what you wanted when you bought this thing? Is that the let it sink in moment?
Yeah.
Is that what you envisioned for the global meeting grounds? And we're not talking about just making the 10% of people on the left and the 10% of people on the right mad. The middle is the Overton window. You're just talking about satisfying the Overton window.
Yeah.
This is censorship. You're engaging in censorship pretty much right off the rip here. You just bought Twitter. You just got in with Trump. You just became a Republican. You just courted the MAGA base. That's a pretty big betrayal of the role that you have stepped in to fill.
I think that most people that are aligned with Twitter in terms of like values, like their value aligned with Twitter, I think that they would disagree with banning people even if they were saying things that were really bad. I think that there's like a handful of things that I would say that there is an overwhelming consensus that you should ban and like delete this and censor this stuff. Like, for example, illegal activities, any illegal activities, like whether it's, you know, CP, whether it's anything else that's like really bad, like threats of violence and doxing. I feel like those, and anime. Well, I mean, I feel like those are the two actual real ones that people, pretty much everybody agrees these are bad.
Water balloons filled with blood.
Everything else, no.
Whether or not it's even true, okay? I couldn't work at SpaceX. I don't have a delusion about that. It doesn't matter because you are in charge of America, because you are an American leader. So what matters is the best sentiment people are walking away with after you tweet something. It's not podcaster guys who are just up your ass when you have money. The extent to which you deserve to be king, more importantly, or equally importantly, how posterity will look upon your works is directly related to your attitude, your benevolence towards the American people.
This is one thing that a lot of people that are, I think, like, this is probably an issue that I have too, personally, is that I don't really care a lot about how people see me. And so I'm an asshole. And because I'm an asshole, I alienate a lot of people and I make people not like me just because of the way that I communicate and the way that I act. And it is a negative. It absolutely is a negative in some cases. Now, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I can't do anything else really besides that, right? Because I'm a dickhead. But at the same time,
Scorpion.
People care a lot about that, and they would rather have somebody who, you know, treated them right, do something bad to them in a lot of cases, as long as it's not something super bad, than somebody who condescends to them and treats them like shit, help them out a little bit. And I've noticed this a lot. It's that, like, and in sales, I think this is anybody who's done sales or has been involved in sales can probably attest to some variation of this, is that the most important thing in sales is your personal relationship with the person that you're selling to. That is the most important thing, and people want to do business with people that they like. If you're real and not fake, yeah, exactly. Sadly, yes. Well, again, like, you always have people that are, you know, lamenting the fact that people are people. But, you know, true, you're right, but that's just the way it is.
America crumbles because we've taken on too many outsiders who don't give a shit about the country. And the Cybertruck will be a footnote in which it will be the DeLorean. It will be something interesting to look back on. You know why they won't be driving it? Because they'll be driving a Neo, and China will be the first to Mars.
Oh.
This isn't fixed by moving the goalposts of what an American is. It would be a lot easier if an American was just an Indian icon. It would make this whole problem go away instantly if that worked. If you could just raise your hand and say that an American is a Guatemalan who was born in it, that's an American. You wouldn't have to have this painful conversation. It would be so easy if you could do that. You know, computer simulation, that's Marvel movie shit. An American is whoever Doctor Strange brings through the portal to beat Thanos. The new Spider-Man is an American. It's a legend from Sri Lanka. She just came here to start up a cupcake business. And she listens to cold grief. And she just came here to start up her business.
Whoa.
She's an American. She's here for the American dream. It's not reality. That's math. That's Marxism. That's computer programming.
I don't think that it's binary. I think that, yeah, obviously if you replace all the people in America with people that aren't in America, would still be America? The answer is no. But I do think that there are a lot of people that embody American ideals that come over to the country and are a positive for the country. It's a matter of degree more than it's a matter of reality. Because I think that it's very obvious that, like, we all know people probably, if not personally, then you know people, like, you know, just in media. These are people who are not Americans by birth, maybe, or, you know, their family wasn't, or maybe their parents weren't, but they come to America and they have a, you know, a lot of people come to America because they like those ideals and they want to be a part of them. And I think that's important to have, right? It doesn't mean to just import every single person. Oh, of course not. But to have some of that is not a bad thing. What are American ideals? I would say American ideals are... Let me think. Extreme individuality and extreme individualism. I think that's probably the core of most American ideals.
Reptile.
Yeah, and like from that, like that, if that's the tree, there's like branches that are, you know, like representative government, branches that are like, you know, liberty and freedom of speech and owning a gun. But that the tree there is individualism.
Serena.
I think that's the main thing.
Whoa,
self-determination, self-preservation. Yeah,
You
sure.
turned a blind eye to Shang Tsung's evil.
Blind eye. I encouraged you.
We all know what an American is.
Round one.
All these paragraph-long definitions, high-minded ideas, it's just propaganda. We know what an American is. If you're not here to help the American people, then your usefulness to us is over. The right-wing, Republicans, conservatives, etc. They are trolls and humors and shit posters, and they have acerbic ideas.
It's crazy how every single other politician has like a professional photo of themselves as their picture, and then Donald Trump looks like fucking Braveheart with war paint on, and it's the American flag, and it's some AI-generated image, and he's the president. Okay.
Also the most forgiving people. They're the most forgiving people. Anything
Punisher, yeah. This is what happens with me, is that, like, I have a lot of, and you guys can probably see this, because, like, I disagree with Sam on a few, like, a few elements here. I have a lot of left-wing ideas, right? I mean, I wouldn't really even consider myself right-wing, but a lot of people do, because, again, I think that there's a lot of people in the right-wing that are not really used to having allies.
Talking about not feeling safe in your neighborhood. That's based, man. Sparring was red-pilled this whole time. I can't believe it. Damn. People are not expected to be full-on 1950s racist.
Anna Kasparian, she was one of the co-hosts of the Young Turks for like over 10 years. And so she, I think, had like she had an experience where she felt unsafe or was made unsafe in a public place, and then she complained about it, and then people got mad at her for complaining about it, I think, and then that kind of radicalized her. I think that's basically what it was. I could be wrong, but like that's what I remember it as. Is that sexually assaulted? Yeah, no, I didn't want to get like graphic, but yeah, basically.
Get him out, guy. Get him out of here! That's not what they're looking for, okay? They're fine with the Silicon Valley tech version of the occasionally based, occasionally Neil deGrasse Tyson soy face. They love that Elon.
What I mean by radicalized, some people are saying that as if like her viewpoints now are normal.
Raiden.
what I think happens a lot of times with people, and I could use her as an example. I could also use Elon Musk as an example. I could use J.K. Rowling as an example. I could use Nick Merckx as an example. And I think that I could probably come up with a few other names. Is that a lot of times people display one form of a right-wing viewpoint, and then that immediately causes them to get alienated from left-wing communities, which causes them to go farther to the right than they would naturally would have gone, because those people were pushing them away so much that they found another group, and it shifted them more. Joe Rogan's another great example. It shifted them more to that other side than what would have naturally happened through their own personal inertia. You see kind of what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's what I mean by radical left. And those are some examples that I think it happened.
It's this idea that Americans are about this misunderstanding of what America is. You're just as bad as the person who bought the website that you able to listen to valid criticism. It's not from Russian bots. It's not a coordinated attack.
I don't want to hurt you.
It's tens of thousands pissed off because they think it's very good. I hope to God it's needed. And the rest of you can keep watching this right now. Check it out.
I think most people are probably frustrated that Elon said some of the things that he said, but I think that the issue also is the way that it's communicated. And I feel like the issue, like, for example, like Vivek Ramaswamy saying, like, that American culture is lazy. I think that if somebody like Donald Trump said that, or I said that, I mean, not that we're equivalent, but like a person who is like a native-born American who's a white person, let's just speak plain English here, said that, I think that it would have been received in a much more positive light. And I think that the main reason why it was received in a negative light because it was coming from a person who was perceived as an other. I don't think so. Really? You don't think so? I don't know. I feel like there's been a lot of criticisms and commentary on like American culture being aesthetics and like face value first and you know, substance later. I feel like that's been incredibly common for years, and I think that a lot of people have expressed that. Yeah, fakery. Yeah, Vivek's native born. I'm not arguing about that. I think Vivek's an American too. I like Vivek. I think Vivek's great. I even agreed with his post. I think he's right. But what I'm saying is that when you're conveying a message, the messenger matters. And the way that you convey that message matters as well. And you might think that it shouldn't matter. And I actually, in fact, agree with you in a lot of cases. I think that people should be able to look through the bullshit, and they should be able to just see the message and think about the idea. But the fundamental reality is that that's not what happens. What happens is that if you communicate something in a way that's extremely aggro, a really great example of this is, I think, Destiny. Destiny communicates a lot of ideas that, in a lot of cases, are factually accurate in a way that alienates people. And I think that's very evident in if you read comments about him or you read people that are discussing things about him, is that a lot of people don't like they don't like how he says things and the way that he says things, and that causes them to say what he said was wrong. Doesn't he have so No, I'm saying, like, yeah, he's aggro, exactly.
You seem like a nice kid.
And doing
What
that ends up alienating more people. To dump tape?
Round one. Fight.
Well, yeah, kind of it is. That's my point. That's my point, is that it's what I said originally, is that the strongest argument isn't an argument. That's my whole point. That's the entire point of what I'm saying. Do you get that kind of where I'm... do you guys see where I'm coming from with this? Like, I'm not crazy, am I?
I'm sorry it came to this.
You think people get shit here? Oh, I'm sure, right? Yeah. Let's see where you're coming from. Yeah, no, I think it's a huge factor. And I feel like I've made that same mistake myself in a lot of cases.
Out asmongold.com / what's the guy's name? Moist Critical. That's the website. asmongold.com/moistcritical.
What?
You can now, if you're not Elon, you can jump over to the regular video and start watching. What I actually believe, I think that the U.S. economy is grinding to a halt, and that the tech bros, and investors, it's like someone tweeted about this, the bubble in the Japanese economy, where Japan was faced with the decision to either start importing people or get ready for a long winter.
I'd love to someday see
I
your
saw that tweet and that
hometown.
immediately
I take you.
rang
Warm
true.
bloods aren't
I
welcome.
think that these investor bros are counting on AI to offset the loss in productivity of this dying empire.
I think that it will. I think AI will replace it. AI and automation will replace 70% of the jobs. And I think it will happen within a lifetime. That's why I've always been a big advocate for universal basic income. I think that's what's going to happen. Now, you could maybe try to make laws to prevent this from happening as quickly, but I think that inevitably this is what the outcome will be.
Realized that AI is, for all intents and purposes, a glorified self-defense AI all the time. Pro subscribe to ChatGPT and Perplexity.ai. I have Perplexity AI as my default search engine, and it's about as good as searching forum posts was 20 years ago.
That's really cool. I think that he's downplaying it way too much. I feel like if we really think about it, what form of technology 20 years ago isn't way better than today? I really think that AI is going to continue to get, like, infinitely better. And I think technology will, as, like, a whole. Dying empire? Well, I mean, I think that, like, no, I think he's talking about Japan, by the way, for that. So I'm getting my PhD in AI? Yeah, sure, but, like, AI is still super inaccurate, and even then it lies. I think that you're right. But that doesn't, I don't think that's a counter argument. Yeah, I don't think so.
The words have weighting and tone and various other dimensions that are vectors. At the end of it is an article that can almost fool a computer into thinking it was written by a human. I think that a lot of people get fooled by AI now. And I think that the best evidence of that is how we don't see as much AI art anymore. Because in fact, I think we see even more AI art than we've ever seen before. People are dumb? Yeah. And I think it will become more and more common.
Raiden.
There's musical chairs going on with money. And people are desperate for a way to keep that musical chairs going, even you. Fucking us
I'd be
over.
lying if I said otherwise.
Idea that these tech guys want to bring in exceptional people is just not true. They're looking to hire basically slaves who can't leave their...
I think that they want to do both. I think that they do want to bring in exceptional people, and anybody who is driven to make their company exceptional wants to bring in exceptional people. But the reason why they want to bring in exceptional people is so the exceptional people make more money for the company. And so there are two ways that you can make more money. You can generate more sales, or you can save more money.
Which is both 20 hours a week, 20 hours a week of actual work, and the rest of the time is spent fucking around on the phone and showing your boss sitting in the office. Now, furthermore, why should an American, why should anybody have to work 50 hours a week? Why is this
so again, yeah, true, by the way. Should look up H-1B visa requirements? No, I'm saying that H-1B visas, so there's a separate visa called like an O-1 visa, and that visa is mainly for like these super high performers. And I think, for example, and these are people inside of every field. Like, for example, I think XQC got one. since he's like, you know, one of the top streamers. Yeah. So it's not extremely uncommon either. But the point is that I think that obviously anybody who wants to improve their company not only wants to hire the highest performers, but they also want to pay the lowest amount of money possible, because that's the highest form of optimization.
Race to create slaves. Why is that a good thing? Why is that a humane thing? Why is that good for humanity? How is it possible, if you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you're left or right, why is it a good thing? They'll work 100 hours. They'll work in their sleep.
Better luck next
They'll work
time.
200 hours.
Final round.
They'll work infinity.
Fight.
They'll have no lives. That's not a good thing. If you want more hours out of something,
I think that there's really a very it's very hard for me to say, because like usually like I spend a lot of time invested in like doing content or doing things that are surrounding my content, right? And I would say that I probably spend way more than 40 hours doing more. And when I was involved with like Starforge and OTK stuff, at a peak I'd say I probably did more than 80 hours if you include streaming and everything involved. But that also there's like a cost to that. There's a huge social cost to that. You know, I was very rarely social, etc., and I'm still not really. But you know, yeah, I did. It's not a good way to live in a lot of cases. Mental health costs. Yeah, exactly. Streaming is not a hard job, though.
No other way.
Brutality.
I don't. Well, I don't care.
Wins.
Your opinion of whether streaming is hard or not is not relevant to me. It's not. I don't care what you think about that. But it's not about whether it's hard or not. It's about whether it takes time. And so if you're investing this amount of time into something, well, then that amount of time is now gone. And so that's it. And so try working as a plumber 80 hours a week. I mean, that would be awful. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I don't know. Anytime that people start discussing jobs and working with a streamer, everybody always has to, like, it's like this weird form of, like, virtue signal. Where, like, oh, yeah, but, like, this job is harder, that job is harder, your job is easy. Nobody cares how hard or easy your job is, except for you. Nobody else in the entire world cares.
What better way to study?
Nobody respects it. Nobody gives a shit. It doesn't matter. So the entire premise of this entire value system is totally self-serving. Nobody gives a shit. Let's move past it. The thing is that if you're working and you're doing that stuff all the time, you don't really have as much time to like go out and do things that's fun. It's harder for you to like build relationships. It's harder for you to maintain friendships. It's hard for you to pursue personal goals. And I think that in a lot of those cases, you have a lot of people who feel like, yeah, like this is something that like a lot of people invest a huge amount of time into working, and what they have to show for it is a lot of money and nothing else. Now, this might sound great for a person who also spends a lot of time working and they don't have enough money either. But you know, it's like a hierarchy of needs. After you meet that benchmark, and this is also psychologically studied, after you meet a certain benchmark of money does literally stop making you happy. This is a proven statistic. And so I think trying to expect everybody to work 80 hours a week is really fucking brutal. But it's also true that if you want to be the most successful people, you have to be a person that works constantly and is putting in huge hours. And I think if you look at streaming, that's the case. If you look at anything, that's the case. A lot of the people that are the best are obsessed. And they hyper-fixate and hyper-focus on it. And they do it every single day. And they will outperform you for not doing that. So if you're working hours a week, want those hours not for money, but because that's what they like to do. Both, right? I mean, sure. Do you think a guy working in a different country for American companies can get an opportunity to live in America? H-1B gives that opportunity. If that opportunity comes at the expense of an American worker, then no, I don't think they should have that.
Next time, try harder.
So, yeah, I mean, because I would want to advocate for people in this country to be able to be the most advanced. Yeah, for sure.
It's just money. They'll do it for 20,000. That's what they're saying. They're pretending like they're complimenting their diligence and their work ethic. What they're really saying is hiring.
Yeah, and I think it's a huge issue, and I think that the issue fundamentally is like really kind of fucked up. Because if you're relying on effectively a underclass of people that work for less money than the normal citizens do, it's kind of nasty, right? You're basically advocating for an underclass.
$100,000 more a year. It's the same thing. They're just saying you can pay these people $130,000 instead of $400,000, $80,000, $250,000. It's just money. Any system that gets set up is going to be gamed. This one is gamed by Indians who are master gamers. Pull up the Cognizant article. This is a company that was found guilty of setting a pattern and practice of discrimination against non-South Asian and non-Indian workers. That's not the intention of the program. The intention of the program is to create a meritocracy. But like Thomas Sowell said, you have to judge things on their outcomes, not their intentions. You could make a law called the Everybody Good, Free Money, Everything Good law.